Hello, everybody. Welcome to another review for It Comes at Night. And before we start this review, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Well, actually, two questions.
Yes.
One, what is your take on independent horror movies?
Nowadays, or what do you mean?
Well,
be more specific.
nowadays compared to studio system horror.
It depends. It depends on who's directing it, what kind of story it is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If it's just a straight scare film, they're not easy to do nowadays.
No, they're not.
If it's more of a mystery horror film,
Yeah.
it can be good, but you got to put the work into it.
Yes.
You got to have the right casting, etc., etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, where else can we go?
Well, let me also ask you this. Do you think that horror fans now are very fickle when it comes to new material?
See, that's a complicated issue because nowadays, almost every other movie has the plots between movies nowadays are very similar. It's hard to come up with new ideas for horror films, different kinds of monsters, different kinds of ideas of how you're going to suggest a horror. Any genre that you use is going to be tough that way.
Yeah.
I mean, horror films got it probably one of the worst. Because you have the basic ones. You got psychopathic killers, you got supernatural entities, you got aliens, you name it.
The reason why I say this is that this is an independent horror movie.
Yes.
And it's gotten a really good rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but a lot of the horror fans out there aren't really big on this movie. And I can sort of see why, but there's a lot of things that are interesting about it too. And before we get into it, I just want to tell people we are going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen it, watch it, then come back and watch the review. If you don't care, you've been warned.
Cut it off right now, then watch the movie and come back.
You've been warned, so here we go. The best place to start with this movie is probably, I would say, is the premise. Because there's been movies like this before. The whole idea of some sort of illness or something.
Some kind of virus, some kind of toxin or something.
Yes. And something that they are cautious of other people and they want to stay away from them and they don't want to contract it and,
Isolation
and just basically trying to survive kind of thing. We've seen it before.
Yep. I can give you one prime example right now. 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
Almost any zombie film nowadays.
Yeah.
Where they're living in the world where everybody knows zombies exist.
Everybody knows zombies exist and, you name it. This is not a zombie movie.
Nope.
But basically, it's about this family of Paul, which is played by Joel Edgerton.
Yep.
His wife Sarah, and his son Travis.
Yep.
And they are basically they have a set of rules that they have survived on, and basically they are okay with surviving, and they're okay with just staying in their little bubble.
Yep.
Then comes this guy, Will, who comes in and, they don't know who this guy is. They don't know what's going on with him.
They don't know if they can trust him. They don't know if he's sick.
Yes. And he says, look, I have a wife and a son, and let me take you to them, and, if they're safe.
In a world where everything's gone crazy and you don't know if you can trust anybody. I can understand Joel Edgerton's character. He wants to protect his family at any cost. He will do whatever it takes to make sure that they survive.
Yes. And eventually he meets the wife and the son.
Yeah.
And they bring him back to
There is
their
a couple
place.
conflicts before they get to the
Yes.
wife.
But
and son.
his wife is Kim,
Yep.
and their daughter is Andrew.
daughter.
No, the son. Son.
Okay.
The son. I'm sorry. Did I say daughter?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You must be a little tired.
I'm a little tired. It's late, so
Which we did an unusual thing. We saw a late night movie instead of an early show.
we did. Which actually is kind of nice.
Yeah, it was nice and quiet. We
Nice
didn't
quiet.
have no complications
Yeah,
in
I
the
like it.
theater.
No, but I mean that's basically the premise of them coming to their place and
Sort of build the trust a little.
build the trust and the tension and everything that comes with that. But I mean, I will say this much right off the bat: the acting in this is great.
Yes.
Across the board, acting in it is great, and Joel Edgerton, who actually has become a great actor over many years, he has really
And quite a few films I've enjoyed, and some I haven't.
but he has done a great job as far as being an actor who takes risks.
Uh-huh.
He takes the risks, and he doesn't mind doing something outside of the box where I think maybe other actors won't do it.
Yep.
He will, and I appreciate that about him. And so the acting across the board is great. There's no doubt about it. The movie looks great. The cinematography is awesome. The directing is great.
Love the visual, the visual outdoor scenes that they use for it.
The visual outdoor scenes. Also, I really like the music. There's this like pounding drum.
It's
in the
sort of
music
creepy and scary at the same time, but it's also got a little bit of mystery toward it.
Yeah, I like the music to it a lot. So there's a lot of things working to the advantage of this movie.
Yeah.
And I think this movie is also a slow burn.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And I think maybe that might turn a lot of people off because
I mean, there's a lot of paranoia in the film. You don't know. It's like, every second it's like, you don't know if like, is this person sick now? Or are they going to become sick?
yeah.
We don't know if it's, only in the beginning of the film, you see one person of the main family, the grandfather, you see him all sick and he looks like his skin is starting to like welt
and he's got like
some kind of like little tumors or something.
he's got like
starting to
welt
grow.
on his body and on his arms. You can kind of tell.
And you can tell he's like very sick. And that's the only true scene that we've seen of the disease or whatever this thing is that's been killing people.
Yeah, they don't explain it. They don't tell you the origins of it. They don't really delve into it too much, which I didn't mind.
And even with Joel Edgerton's character's son, who has quite vivid dreams about the I don't know what you call it, the disease.
The
toxin
disease or
whatever.
the whatever. I mean, he's having really weird
dreams.
so realistic dreams.
Yes.
Yes.
And the main occurring thing is you see him walking down the main hallway.
Towards this red door.
This creepy door.
Yes.
Not something you'd want to walk in the middle of the night.
No. But the thing about it though
And
is
it has quite a lot of symbolism when you think about it too.
with the red door?
Yes.
Okay. Like what symbolism?
I mean, think about it. It's the only door to their outside. He even said that that's the only door that he keeps under lock and key,
Okay.
which they can get out. And when you think about it, it represents the opening up to the disease, to the paranoia. Inside they're safe. But once they go outside, they're taking a risk.
Okay.
And even in through the sequences, you see him going through the door. You don't know how much of it's actually all in his head, or is it potential premonitions of what's going to happen.
Yes, you don't know, and there's a lot of things along the way that it kind of is like, okay, this guy comes in and he's busting down the door, and he says, "Look, I just want to get food and water and everything, but I didn't know that it was occupied." But we even have Paul's wife Sarah, who basically saying, well, look, he didn't mention anything about like when we burned the body and smoke and, you know, maybe he found us there and he didn't say anything.
Yep.
There's a lot of mystery to these people.
Yes, even when you first see the character Will, after they start to interrogate him a little bit, you know, trying to find out his backstory, if he's sick, you know, even when later on Will and Paul have a conversation, right there he's starting to suspect a little something. Maybe not this guy's whole story is really fitting, because remember that scene where they're talking about the brother?
Yeah.
And he's like question mark. He's like you said you and your dad. He's like, oh, that was my wife's brother, so technically he's my brother. I'm like, that's kind of right there is kind of implying this guy might be.
It's kind of okay. Are you on the up and up? Are you like
Stretching the truth, or you know?
Exactly. And also, there's a moment in the movie with Will's wife Kim and Paul's son Travis, where they're just talking about like, you know, food and everything, and kind of bonding during the nighttime, and you can almost tell that maybe she's kind of, I don't want to say like flirting, but maybe I don't like, almost like maybe she's trying to get
maybe manipulate him into helping him,
or get close to him or something. Like there's like,
because even he has a weird dream about her being in his room with him, and then she shows signs of being sick, and you see the part in the trailer where you see her black goo gumming from her mouth into his, which very creepy.
Like, you know, the like that.
Something out of X-Files.
Something out of X-Files. Like, fuck, man. But it's all this whole building up of stuff that goes on throughout the movie, the tension of it, and you don't know who to trust, you don't know what's going on. And also, did you get a sense that maybe there was things outside?
That's the problem, is you never really got to see anything other. I mean, there's a part where they're outside collecting, you know, materials, wood, water, etc., and the dog hears and sees something. Dog disappears. You know, then later on you find it back in the house, which mysteriously, I forget, the red door was open.
The red door was open.
How to get open? I mean, no way the dog could have done it.
The dog couldn't do it.
And it was injured and diseased.
It was injured and diseased, but also the real question is, like,
my money is on the kid was probably sick, because they're hinting, because she kept him like very close.
Yeah, very close. Yeah, the kid was sick, but also, could the kid have opened the door though?
I don't know, because I mean, he wasn't. I mean, he's only like maybe 2 feet tall, and the lock is probably almost twice his size.
Yeah, so I'm unsure whether he opened the door or not.
The problem is you don't know if there was anything else out there.
You don't know, and also,
because that would have been a great twist ending toward the end.
Yeah, or could Travis have opened the door without him really knowing? Because he's been having vivid dreams. He might have just...
Who knows? I mean, we don't know how the disease worked. Maybe it was messing with his mind. Maybe it was manipulating him.
And also, the dog was bleeding so much that there's a part of me that's like, how could he have gotten there on his own?
I mean, there was a lot. When you see the dog, I mean, you don't see the dog directly, but you see, like, dog lying on the ground, and you see a giant wound where there was a lot of blood all over the floor.
All over. I'm like, how could he have gotten to that?
I don't, even with that, I mean, dog, I forget what breed dog that was. It's not a real big dog. I mean,
no, it's not a big dog.
No bigger than the kid. And that dog was bleeding bad.
I don't know. I mean, that's the real problem that I have, is like,
I would have had it like in my own version of how they do the ending.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to the ending part.
We will.
And there's another part I want to talk about before we do the ending.
Yeah.
You know, it would have made more sense for the ending is, well, I'm not gonna say this part because it'll kind of, we're gonna get into that part. At the end, you see the main family, they're all beaten up and torn up of what's happened. You know, it's late at night, and you see the door like creepily open up, and you see like some fingers coming, you know, just slightly, some fingers coming across the door. Then you just cut right there.
Yeah.
That would have been a creepy ending, saying that there's somebody else in the house now. You know, saying that there was something manipulating them this whole time.
Okay. I mean, that would have worked. I mean,
Current ending was.
Well, you said you wanted to talk about one thing before we get to the ending.
Well, right before we get to the final part of the ending, you know, both families, Will's family and Paul's family, are at the point where they can't really trust each other right now. So they're all both staying in separate rooms.
Yeah.
Then they realize Will's family's trying to leave. So Paul's family's like, oh, we can't let them leave because they'll probably try to take all of our stuff, which I can understand. You know, they have limited resources. You know, it's all crazy. Everything's wacky. And it makes me wonder, is humanity our greatest strength and greatest weakness? I'd have to say yes in both. Because look how far the paranoia twists and turn these good people. They're willing to do, even kill anybody just to survive. I'm like, are we really worth saving?
That's actually a really good question because, you know, honestly, that would be real life. Because, you know what, we can all sit here and say...
We can debate it to the end of time.
Yeah, we can all sit here and say, oh, I would never do what these characters do. But you know what? When chaos happens and when... you know, things are really on the line, you will do things that you never thought that you could do.
Joel Edgerton's character done some pretty necessary but bad things in order to make his family safe.
Yeah.
Like, you tell it's taking a toll on him.
Absolutely.
So at least he's not completely far gone.
No, he's not completely far gone, and you can tell these people have a level of humanity to them, which I think makes them good characters. They're not completely... like soulless and lifeless.
Yeah,
they're not.
I mean, spoiler, when they do take out the Will's family, even though they don't want to, but they're not given much of a choice.
Yeah.
And he accidentally tries to stop Kim and her son from escaping. He accidentally shoots the kid. You could tell that right there, the wife is just distraught of what's happened.
Yeah.
He's at that point where he's like, I can't believe I've done it, but you could see in his eyes he felt it was necessary in order to stop them. Kim's character's like, kill me, kill my baby, you know. She's crying her eyes out. I can understand she's just like lost it. I mean, her husband dead. I think he was pretty much dead at that point.
I think he was pretty much dead. He might have been twitching or something, but yeah.
I mean, she just lost her child, which I don't think anybody could survive a loss like that.
No.
I mean, that comes to that final part of the scene for me. I mean, we'll discuss the ending after we get through Seth's.
Well, no, I mean, to the final scene, really, to get to it, I will say this, that I think a lot of people's love or hate for this film is going to vary based on the ending.
Yeah, the ending does not make a lot of sense to me.
It really, to me, neither. I mean, so basically, let's get into it. So basically, Paul kills Will's family and Will and everything. And then, basically, Paul's son, Travis, is infected.
Yes.
He's infected, and I'm assuming the wife is as well, because she's not looking too good either.
Yeah, you can see, like, on her face, she's starting to get, like, the little black marks on her face.
Yeah, she's not looking real good.
I mean, my explanation is, I think the kid got infected. I think eventually they would have all got infected because they kept burning the bodies. You know, think about it. If this virus is transmitted through, like, blood and all that stuff, who says it couldn't have been airborne, too? Because even
I didn't think about
maybe
that.
it just
Yeah,
takes a matter
okay.
of time.
I
Don't
didn't-
forget, they in the beginning of the film, the grandfather was infected. He was sleeping in the same room as the kid, so maybe it just took a lot slower to act to him.
Maybe that's a good point. I didn't think about that. That maybe the vivid dreams are just part of the process of the
We
whole
don't.
infection.
I mean, some viruses take, it takes different reactions in different people.
I mean, but as far as that ending goes, though, the idea that, okay, is Travis, did they kill him? Did he just die on his own? And what about, and
That's the problem. You don't really know. My best possible explanation is sort of like what you see in The Grandfather to me. I think it's just like his mind's gone.
Okay.
He's just like almost like, I wouldn't say a blank slate, but he's like almost catatonic.
I mean, what do you think about, like, okay, what about, like, Paul and Sarah? Are Paul and Sarah, like, now, are they now both I mean, she's infected, we know, at least we think.
I think it's just a slippery slope for all of them to just.
But I mean, the ending it just cuts though. It just cuts with them sitting at the dinner table.
You see the son walk through the dream door or the imaginary door of the hallway.
That maybe he's dying or dead.
Yeah, or
Okay.
getting to that point. And if he's got it, who knows? He probably got it. I mean, they're all so paranoid about getting infected. We don't know. I mean, you never really get an explanation of how it gets transmitted. It could have been airborne. It could have been blood. Who knows?
It could have been. It just, to me,
It could have been like like in Resident Evil. They said the virus transforms from.
yeah. But the ending is so abrupt and out of place.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that's gonna really, like, I think not connect with people.
I mean, I wouldn't say the movie didn't have some decent. I mean, like, I think the best parts were when you see some of the dreams that he has, where he's like seeing his dead grandfather, like all virused out, and he's got the black eyes, he's got the black goo coming from his mouth, and he just does a giant roar.
It just does that giant, like, thing.
Like a monstrous, like a monster ghostly echo.
I mean, I will say this. There's a lot of films that I need a little explanation to.
Yeah.
And other films that I don't need that much. This, I didn't need a lot.
Just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit. And, again, abrupt endings are not terrible, but this one tended to be
I thought it was working till the last part of the movie.
Yes, I felt it was too. And again, I've always said you got to end strong.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simple. You have to end strong because
I mean, it started off strong. I mean,
it started off strong. You have to leave the audience, like, leaving that theater saying, "Wow, this is absolutely mind-blowing, amazing."
Weird, mesmerizing.
Yeah, mesmerizing. But we left the theater like, huh?
Like WTF?
WTF? Like, what's going on?
I didn't understand the ending.
Yeah, like, it just...
Like I said earlier in the thing, I thought my ending would have been better.
I think your ending would have been better. I think there's a lot of, like...
Or even have the kid, you see him, like, dreaming where he's going through the door and he just, like, his eyes open and it's all black and you got the black goo.
Oh, sure, like that stuff.
Cut right there.
Right there. I mean, there's a lot of things working for the movie, and I think a lot of horror fans probably have gone in, like, loving those parts and loving where it was going, and then being let down by that ending.
Final payoff.
The final payoff. It reminds me a lot of, even though there's really no twist in this movie, it reminds me a lot of, like, The Village, where like you're going with it, and then you have the ending that just sort of kills it.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn it, man.
It's like, where'd it go wrong?
Where'd it go wrong? We know where this went wrong.
Yeah.
Was the ending. The rest of it is great.
Last 5 minutes of film were the part where I was just like, what?
Yeah, last 5 minutes, and that can really be detrimental to a film.
Oh yeah.
And that's and it
overall,
kind of
I thought the
is.
casting was good. I thought the location that they used was good. I love how they used the tools that they had to survive.
Yes.
I mean, even the paranoia and all that stuff was good.
So let me ask you this. Do you think, like, over time this is going to be a misunderstood film now, but years later it's going to be one of those films where we all look back and say, wow, this is far better than anybody gave it credit for?
It's a 50-50 movie. I mean, it could go either. I mean, up to like the last 5 minutes, I thought it was going to be all positive all the way.
Yeah.
But the last 5 minutes of the film kind of left it. It felt like it's like when you're playing, a computer game or a video game or something, and you just get to that last part where you're doing the final thing, and it just cuts off right there before you get the, oh, you solved this, or you don't, you completed that. You won the game. In this film, that last 5 minutes, it's just kind of in a lot of ways, it's like cutting off the life of the film.
So, what's your grade rating then?
I mean, if it wasn't for the last 5 minutes of film, I'd probably go high B+, maybe even A-.
Wow. Okay. But because of that last 5 minutes,
I'd have to probably give it a very low, probably B-, almost bordering on a C+.
But you're going low B-.
Yes.
Okay. I think the movie has a lot of strong points to it. And I think there's a lot of great context within the movie of humanity and just the depth of survival and what people are willing to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I agree with you. Those last 5 minutes really do sort of take the wind out of this movie. And
it's like deflating a tire.
It is. It's like deflating a tire, and you lose everything that you build up. I'm gonna go probably a low B- as well. I'm gonna go a low B- as well and say it's worth watching. Absolutely, yes. It's worth watching, but go in with checked expectations for those last 5 minutes where just know that you're not getting the ending that you quite want.
Who knows? Maybe the DVD, when it comes out, or Blu-ray, maybe has an alternate ending. It could make the film better.
I'd love to see it if it has it. I'd love to see it. So that's our review of It Comes at Night, and I hope y'all liked it, and we'll be back next time for another review.
Yep.
All right, guys. See you later.